Hi, I'm Dr. Sofia Jain. I'm a board-certified urologist, and today I want to talk to you about something that far too many men over 60 are silently wondering about, but almost no one is saying out loud: masturbation. Yes, that word, that act, that part of yourself you've either quietly continued with or quietly buried under years of shame, confusion, or just plain neglect. But what if I told you that touching yourself, mindfully, intentionally, could actually help your health, your vitality, and your connection to your own identity as a man? Stick with me for the next 25 minutes because I'm going to share 5 powerful masturbation secrets older men wish they had known earlier. And these aren't just random tips. These come from years of working with real patients, real stories, and the surprising science behind what happens to your body and your mind when you ignore this one part of your well-being. Let me be clear, this isn't about fantasy or obsession. This is about something far more important: your quality of life. So let's break the silence, drop the embarrassment, and talk like adults. Because if you're over 60 and you've ever asked yourself, should I still be doing this? The answer might surprise you. And by the end of this video, you're going to walk away with clarity, confidence, and maybe even a little bit of relief. This is advice every older man deserves to hear. So let's begin with secret number 1. Secret number 1. Your erection does not define your manhood. Now, I know how deeply this belief runs. I've sat across from men in their late 60s, 70s, even 80s, who look down in shame and say, "I can't get it up anymore, doc." And in their eyes, I see fear, not just about sex, but about losing their sense of worth. But here's the truth. An erection is a physical response, not a definition of who you are. And more importantly, pleasure doesn't disappear just because your body responds differently now. Let me tell you about Carl. Carl is 72, retired, a grandfather of 6, and one of the kindest men you'd ever meet. He came to me confused and embarrassed because, in his words, things don't work like they used to. But as we talked, I realized something. Carl still felt desire. He still wanted to feel connection. What he didn't realize was that aging naturally changes blood flow, hormone levels, even nerve sensitivity. And that doesn't mean something is broken. It means your body is asking you to slow down, adapt, and be more intentional. Carl started practicing self-touch in a way that honored where he was now, not where he was at 25. He stopped chasing performance and started exploring sensation. And over time, he discovered something amazing. He didn't need a full erection to feel pleasure. He didn't need to prove anything. He just needed to reconnect with his breath, his body, and his own sense of self. Gentlemen, listen. The older you get, the more your body asks for presence, not pressure. And when you stop judging your body and start listening to it, you open the door to a deeper, more powerful kind of pleasure. One that's rooted in awareness, not achievement. Now let's move to secret number 2, and this one's a big one. Not masturbating for years might actually be harming your health. Yes, you heard that right. There's this old belief that once you're past a certain age, you just stop. You stop touching yourself, stop feeling, stop thinking about pleasure. And society reinforces that by pretending older adults aren't sexual beings anymore. But the science tells a different story. Your pelvic floor, your prostate, your blood vessels, they all benefit from regular, gentle stimulation. When you go for long periods without any kind of release, fluids can stagnate, tissues can atrophy, and blood flow can become restricted. That's not just about sex, that's about health. I remember a patient named Daryl, 66, who came in with recurring pelvic discomfort. After ruling out infections and serious conditions, we discovered something unexpected. He hadn't ejaculated in nearly 4 years. Not for religious reasons, not because he didn't want to, but because he thought it wasn't normal at his age. Once he began a simple, consistent practice of masturbation, guided by mindfulness and without shame, his symptoms began to fade. The discomfort lessened, his sleep improved, and, perhaps most importantly, he felt reconnected to himself. This isn't magic, it's biology. Ejaculation, when done intentionally, helps keep your internal plumbing working. Think of it like running water through pipes. It clears buildup, it promotes circulation, and it reminds your body how to function. And let's not ignore the mental side. Masturbation, especially in later years, can help with anxiety, stress relief, and even depression. Why? Because it stimulates the release of endorphins, those feel-good chemicals that soothe your nervous system and support your overall well-being. For many men, this becomes a calming ritual, a way to ground themselves in their own body during uncertain times. So if you've stepped away from self-pleasure thinking it's safer or cleaner or more mature, I invite you to rethink that. It might be the very thing your body is quietly asking for. And that brings us to secret number 3. This one's personal. Secret 3. You may be confusing shame with wisdom. Let me explain. I've talked to dozens of men who say, I grew out of that. But when we dig a little deeper, what we usually uncover isn't growth, it's guilt. A belief passed down from a generation that viewed sexuality as something to hide, especially in older age. But here's the truth. Letting go of shame is one of the wisest things you can do. Letting go of shame is one of the wisest things you can do. Not just for your mental health, but for your body's ability to feel, to heal, and to thrive. Let me tell you about James. James is 69, a retired Navy veteran, tough as nails on the outside, but carrying decades of guilt around something completely natural. He told me, Doc, I was raised to think this was wrong, that it made me weak, that even thinking about it at my age was embarrassing. I looked him in the eye and said, James, honoring your body doesn't make you weak. Ignoring it does. When you've spent your life suppressing desire, pretending it doesn't exist, it's not wisdom you're developing, it's disconnection. Real wisdom is the ability to see your full humanity, including your sexuality, with compassion. And here's the truth. Older men carry more wisdom in their bodies than they often give themselves credit for. But shame buries that wisdom. Shame tells you you're too old, too broken, too far gone. It's a lie. When James started exploring touch again, not with judgment but with curiosity, he discovered something beautiful. His body still worked, not like it did at 20, but in a deeper, more grounded way. He started sleeping better, smiling more, even walking taller. He said, I feel like I got a piece of myself back. And that, gentlemen, is what's possible when you stop letting shame drive the conversation. So if you've ever caught yourself thinking, I'm too old for this, ask yourself, are you speaking from wisdom? Or are you echoing a voice that was never really yours to begin with? And now we arrive at secret number 4, and it's a big one. One that might make you uncomfortable at first, but that could also unlock everything. Secret 4, porn may be destroying your sexual reflexes without you knowing it. Now, let me be very honest. This isn't about moralizing. This is about understanding how your brain works. Over time, I've seen more and more older men turn to online adult content, especially after a partner passes away or intimacy in a relationship fades. It feels like comfort. It feels like an outlet. But for many, it becomes something else, a quiet replacement for real feeling. Let me explain. I spoke with Ernest. He's 68, a widower who told me, I still touch myself, but I feel disconnected, like nothing really reaches me anymore. He thought it was just part of getting older. But as we peeled back the layers, I discovered he had been watching porn almost every night. not because he loved it, but because he didn't know what else to do with his need for connection. And over time, his brain had adapted to that fast, high-stimulation input. Here's the science. Porn floods your brain with dopamine, a surge of it. That's your pleasure chemical. And the more extreme the content, the more your brain craves novelty. It becomes less responsive to real-life touch, real moments, even your own hands. It's like training your body to only react to fireworks and then wondering why candlelight doesn't do it for you anymore. This is especially dangerous for older men because it happens slowly. It doesn't feel harmful, but one day you wake up and realize that a screen excites you more than a person, that your imagination has grown quiet, that your body feels numb, even if your mind still wants to feel alive. Ernest said it best. It felt like being in a room with lights on but no windows. He could see, but he couldn't connect. Intimacy. You'll want to hear this. If you're still watching and these insights are striking a chord, go ahead and comment the number 1 below to let me know you're with me. Now, let's move forward to secret number 4, one that reveals a hidden habit quietly reshaping your desire without you even realizing it. Late one evening, I spoke with Ernest, a 68-year-old widower who had been struggling with a loss of sensation, not just physically, but emotionally. He told me something that I hear far too often. I still touch myself, but I feel disconnected, like nothing really reaches me anymore. At first, he thought it was just aging, but as we talked more, something became painfully clear. His nightly routine of watching porn, something he'd turned to for comfort and stimulation, had quietly begun to rob him of his ability to feel in real life. This is a secret so many older men wish they knew earlier. As your brain ages, it becomes less flexible, less adaptable. And if you've been using porn as your main form of stimulation for years, your brain may have slowly adapted to that high-intensity, fast reward input at the cost of real intimacy. Porn triggers an unnatural flood of dopamine, your brain's reward chemical. Over time, this rewires your system to only respond to extreme visuals and constant novelty. And before you realize it, touch from a real person, or even yourself, feels dull, distant, or simply not enough. What makes this especially dangerous for older men is how gradually it happens. You don't notice it at first. It feels like comfort. But one day, you realize that the images excite you more than actual connection, that your imagination has gone quiet, that your body feels numb, even though your mind still wants to feel. Ernest described it like being locked in a room with the lights on, but no windows. He could see, but he couldn't connect. We worked together to slowly ease him off that dependency, not by judgment, but through patience. And what happened next surprised even him. Within weeks, he began to feel sensations again. His sensitivity returned. His imagination lit up, all because he stepped away from the screen and started reconnecting with his own body, his breath, and his inner world. I only wish he had started sooner. It could have saved him years of numbness. And now we come to the final secret, one that brings all the others together. Because after all the silence, shame, and confusion that surrounds this topic, there's something powerful older men deserve to know, something that could change the way you see yourself and your health forever. Secret 5, masturbation can be a lifeline, not a liability. A man named Walter once sat across from me during a routine checkup. He was 75, soft-spoken, and polite. Toward the end of the visit, he hesitated, then asked, "Doctor, is it still okay to touch myself at this age?" That question stopped me in my tracks, not because it was unusual, but because I'd heard it too many times before. It was laced with embarrassment, like he was confessing to something shameful. But what Walter didn't realize, and what I wish every older man knew sooner, is this. Masturbation isn't something to hide from. At your age, it might be one of the most important acts of self-care you still have. The truth is, masturbation, done with intention and presence, can support more than just your sexual satisfaction. It keeps your pelvic tissues healthy by encouraging blood flow. It helps your prostate function by clearing out fluids that would otherwise stagnate. It eases anxiety, boosts your mood, and improves sleep through the natural release of calming neurochemicals. But beyond biology, it does something even more vital. It keeps you connected to the part of yourself that still feels desire, still holds identity, still wants to feel alive. When Walter's wife passed away, he stopped everything. He believed that chapter of his life was over. For nearly 6 years, he hadn't allowed himself a single moment of pleasure. "I thought it was inappropriate," he admitted. "I didn't think I was allowed to still be that kind of man." That sentence stayed with me because I've heard its echo in so many others. We live in a culture that teaches older men to go quietly, to shrink, to stop feeling. But it's a cruel myth because desire doesn't disappear. It just becomes quieter. And if you don't listen, it turns into loneliness. When Walter began to reconnect with himself gently, without pressure, his mood lifted. He slept better. He smiled more. He wasn't chasing youth. He was reclaiming dignity. That's what masturbation can become in later life. Not an escape, but a return. A way to say, "I still matter." And now that you've heard all 5 secrets, there's one final truth that ties it all together. One message that goes beyond science and medicine, straight to the heart of what it means to age with strength, confidence, and self-respect. You won't want to miss this. If you've made it this far, I want to thank you, not just for listening, but for having the courage to face a subject most men your age were never given permission to talk about. That alone makes you part of a rare kind of strength, one rooted not in denial, but in understanding. These 5 secrets aren't just bits of medical advice. They're hard-earned truths shaped by real lives, real regrets, and real awakenings from men who quietly wished they had known sooner. We began by breaking down the myth that your erection defines your manhood. So many men spend years in quiet panic, not knowing that pleasure and connection are still possible, even if the mechanics have changed. Then we explored how masturbation isn't just physical, it's emotional, neurological, deeply human. The kind of act that, when done with awareness, can ground you in ways nothing else can. You saw how disuse isn't harmless. It can slowly cause the body to forget what it once knew so well. But with consistency, presence, and patience, you can help it remember. We talked about the hidden cost of porn, the way it reshapes your brain and dulls your response to real connection. And finally, we came to the truth most men never hear, that masturbation, especially in older age, isn't a source of shame. It can be a lifeline, a way to stay connected to your identity, your body, your sense of being fully alive. I've met countless men in their 60s, 70s, even 80s who told me, "I thought this part of my life was over." They believed they had nothing left to feel, nothing left to give. But what I've learned over decades in this field is that desire doesn't retire. It softens, it shifts, but it never disappears. And when you learn to meet your body where it is, not where it used to be, you discover something powerful. You are still a man, you are still whole, and you are still deserving. So wherever you are in your journey, single or partnered, active or just beginning again, I hope these 5 truths help you reclaim what was never lost, only waiting to be remembered. Your age doesn't disqualify you from feeling, touching, or healing. In fact, it may be the exact reason you need to start now. If this message spoke to you, even just a little, I want to invite you to be part of something more. Leave a comment below and let me know which of these 5 truths meant the most to you. And if you're ready to keep learning, growing, and reclaiming your health with dignity, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. I share honest, practical guidance made specifically for men over 60 because your story still matters. You're not invisible. You're not finished. There's so much more life, connection, and vitality ahead if you're willing to reach for it. And if this video reminded you of someone who needs to hear this, send it to them. You never know how much of a difference a conversation like this can make. Let's keep breaking the silence together. You deserve the truth. You deserve support. And most of all, you deserve to feel alive again. Before I go, let me tell you this. If you're watching and something in your heart is saying, "That's me," I want you to know you are not alone. I've sat across from hundreds of men who've struggled in silence, afraid to speak, unsure if it's normal, scared to even ask questions about their own bodies. But here's what I've learned as a doctor. The men who ask, who explore, who choose curiosity over shame, they're the ones who end up healing, growing, and feeling alive again. You have that same power. You don't have to figure this all out at once. You don't need to go back to the man you were at 30. You just need to start where you are, one step, one breath, one moment of courage at a time. Whether that means touching yourself again without guilt, having an honest conversation with your partner, or simply allowing yourself to feel desire without apology, it's all valid. You still deserve pleasure. You still deserve touch. You still deserve peace. And I want you to know that this channel, this space, is built exactly for that. For men like you who refuse to fade quietly into the background. For men who believe that aging doesn't mean giving up. If this video made you feel seen, understood, or just a little less alone, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Turn on the notifications so you don't miss the next conversation, because there's so much more we need to talk about. Pelvic health, libido shifts, erectile changes, emotional healing, all of it. I'll be right here each week, giving you practical advice, backed by science, grounded in compassion, with zero judgment. And if there's a topic you've always wondered about but felt too embarrassed to ask, leave it in the comments below. You'd be surprised how many other men are wondering the exact same thing. This is your community. You belong here. Now, I also want to leave you with a gentle challenge. Sometime in the next 24 hours, I want you to take just 5 minutes in silence with yourself, not to perform, not to force anything, but to simply notice your body, notice your breath, notice if there's any desire, any tension, or even numbness. Whatever you find, greet it with kindness, not judgment. That simple act of noticing, of being present, that's where healing begins. That's where intimacy with yourself starts to grow again. And if you do that, and I truly hope you do, I'd love to know what you experienced. Share in the comments, even if it's just a word like peaceful, strange, emotional, or hopeful. You never know who might see your comment and feel brave enough to start their own journey too. We rise together as men, not by pretending everything's fine, but by daring to be honest. If you're still with me, drop a simple "I'm here" in the comments below. That small act, believe it or not, lets me know this message is reaching the men who truly need it most. And if someone forwarded this video to you, take a moment to thank them. That person just opened a door for you that most men never get to walk through. Coming up in next week's episode, we'll be diving deep into something just as essential. What really happens to your body when you stop masturbating after 60? You won't want to miss it. The physical, hormonal, and emotional shifts might surprise you. So stay tuned and bring your questions. We'll be tackling it all head on, together. And if you're ready to go even deeper, check out the link in the description below for my free guide, 10 intimacy myths that are holding older men back. It's short, clear, and packed with powerful truths that can change the way you approach touch, arousal, and aging. Totally free. My gift to you for showing up for yourself today. One last thing. If this message brought someone to mind, your father, your friend, your neighbor, or even your younger self, consider sharing this video. That one gesture could be the nudge someone needs to rediscover a part of themselves they thought was gone forever. The ripple effect of these conversations, it's real and it's powerful. So let's end with this thought. You're not broken, you're evolving. And with the right knowledge, support, and a little bit of courage, this next chapter of your life can be more connected, more grounded, and more meaningful than you ever imagined. You've earned the right to feel. You've earned the right to heal. And you've earned the right to live fully, not in spite of your age, but because of it. I'm Dr. Sofia Jain, board-certified urologist and passionate advocate for men's health after 60. Thank you for trusting me, for listening, and most importantly, for being willing to look inward. You are not invisible. You are not done. You are becoming. And I'll be here to walk beside you every step of the way. Until next time, take care of your body, honor your desires, and never stop being curious. You still have so much to give, and the world, whether it knows it or not, still needs the man you're becoming. If you're new here, don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and turn on that bell so you get notified the moment we release the next episode. Until then, keep reaching, keep healing, and remember, your age isn't the end. It's the entrance to something deeper. See you next time.